Oh, hello. How are you? Good to see you. Glad you're here. I'm excited to be here with you. I'm I'm in blue. There's stuff going on in the other room. We'll ignore that. So today I really just wanted to chat with you and talk about being psychic and answer any of your questions about me or being psychic, and also anything you want to know psychically, because I can do that. So glad to see some of you are here live. If you're watching the replay, you can put your comments down below. I would still love to get to know you better. So if you want and you're in the chat, let me know where you're from, how long you've been watching, if you're new, what your name is, hello. And so, yeah, if you have any questions throughout this time, just chime in. I'm just probably going to talk because you didn't show up here just to watch me sit here. So questions are welcome, and I'll just share my journey and we'll go from there. So I'm Rachel. Hi. I have just always been psychic and open and seeing spirits, and later on in life realizing some of them would be called aliens, which at the time I had no idea about whatsoever when I was little. But I was a little kid and I had imaginary friends and an imaginary older brother. And I used to talk to all the bugs in my backyard and swing on the swing set with my invisible friends and bring them to dinner. And I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought that was normal. And my parents never made a big deal about it. Hello, as one in harmony. And I didn't think anything was weird except for the first time when I saw angels, because I could recognize them and I knew people thought they were mythical, or they weren't walking around with us. And the things I had seen before then, they didn't feel like, no one had ever pointed them out before and been like, that's weird. So I didn't know. But when I saw angels, I was actually really scared. And I don't know if I ever talked about it as a kid. I don't think I told my mom or the people I was with. And then I think that the second thing, the thing that I did encounter where my family got involved and kind of gave me a label was when my grandpa died when I was in middle school. And he would show up in my room at night and we'd have little chats. And that was really, really lovely because we never really bonded much when he was alive. He was very Italian and very wonderful guy, but we didn't spend a lot of time together. I was much more like a grandma's girl. And he had also lived in Florida for a long time. So when my grandpa kept showing up and talking to me and I would tell my parents, that's kind of when they knew something was a little different. And it wasn't just I had invisible friends and an invisible brother. They realized okay, something's going on. And my grandma got involved too because she revealed her secret and that she was also psychic, clairvoyant, whatever you want to call it, but was so afraid of it that she had completely shut down and never talked about it, because her experience was that she only knew when people were going to die. And so that's what freaked her out about it. She never knew about developing it into more or using it on purpose. It would just come to her in waves and she could just tell when you were going to die. And I can understand why she didn't want to have anything to do with it. So even when I popped, she realized I had it too. I figured, okay, great. Well, now she'll come out of her shell and we can be friends and talk about it. And she just still didn't want to have anything to do with it. So yeah, my childhood with all of this was pretty wonderful and Oh, Jenna, I'm not taking tarot questions because I don't know tarot, but I'm happy to answer a psychic question that you have, just by me being psychic and looking into it. So yeah, questions are welcome. I just don't have tarot because I don't know tarot. Um, yeah, so I was a pretty normal kid with all that going on and really happy. I didn't know there was like a bad side, a scary side to it until I moved into a haunted house when I was 14. And it was really strange. It was like all of a sudden I realized there were like bad guys in the world. Um, and I would look at it differently now because I'm in a better place. I'm a more, in a stable place. But as a kid, it was really strange. Like I felt like there were things that were out to get me, and I would wake up with bruises, and um, you know, people would like spirits would follow me and harass my mom and my dad. It was just really weird. Ooh, tell me more, as one in harmony. Yeah, I think there are a lot of us out there. And you know what's interesting is I didn't come up. So, how I usually learn about myself is I will have an experience and then I will hear someone else talk about it or read a book with that mentioned in it. So I gather my information about me first. Like the fact that I feel like I'm a group being, the fact that I knew I was multidimensional, like the law of attraction, like seeing that work in my life and then learning that it's like a thing. But what I'm about to say did not happen that way. So I just want to always caveat that. So how I grew up with all of this stuff sounds like you too. I had a session with Nora Harold in my mid 20s, and she said that I'm a hybrid, like a hybrid Pleiadian, um, human kind of thing. And that made a lot of sense, seeing as how I did find this huge, like, extraterrestrial connection later in life, and the fact that we're all connected. It doesn't matter what planet you live on, we're all source beings, etc. And so I wonder if you've ever considered yourself a hybrid. It's not that it doesn't resonate with me, it does, but I just didn't come up with that term on my own. You know what I mean? So, yeah, interesting. Okay, so you had an imaginary friend as well, turned out to be a guide. Yes, I considered, we'll call him Matt. I always called him Matt. I considered him my guide as well. Like in my teen years, I was like, oh, he's my spirit guide. And then later realized he's like a hybrid brother, which is also, I still consider him a guide. That's what he was acting as, a friend, brother, guide. So yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Doesn't it make life, life has like less stakes, I think. Oh, I also wonder, have you ever considered your fear or lack of fear of death? Because I know for me, since I've always had connection with the spirit world and I've always like seen my relatives after they die, I have never had a fear of death like I guess a lot of people do. And that is sometimes a very motivating thing for people. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I wonder if you can relate to that too, of like just that's just not there for you. Zach says, hello, Zach. I have one on Rob, or should that be private? And will Intimate Alien be here today too? I have one on Rob. A question on Rob. I don't know who Rob is. So if there's a question about someone else, maybe hold it. But if it's a question about you, I'm happy to look into it. And Intimate Alien is always here, of course. And she can answer a question, but I'm not dressed as her, so I didn't like announce her being here. But yeah, she's always here. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So Zach has been interviewing me a bit, and so he knows a lot more about this story than most people. But yeah, so as One in Harmony says, no fear of death, strange at funerals all. Yes, I know. Funerals are so funny to me. And I do respect that people have emotions when people die. I have emotions when people die. Sometimes it hits me harder than others. Like my friend Maya died last year, and that was kind of hard just because she has like a young family, and it was an interesting thing to process. But yeah, most people invite me to funerals on purpose so that I can talk to their relatives. Like that's happened so many times with acquaintances and people who just like know me, you know, maybe we're not the closest, maybe I wouldn't usually go to their people's funerals, but the loved ones who have died at funerals are often jumping around and like excited and trying to get your attention so that you know they're okay. And so sometimes it's hard for me to not laugh and be really smiling because here is this dead person jumping up and down and like making a big scene. I actually got in trouble with some nuns once because I was at a memorial for who was at the time my husband. His brother had died, and there was a memorial in this like auditorium, and there were some nuns in front of me, and here was this guy who died jumping up and down on the stage right behind the priest. He was like kind of like going like this, like running all over the stage behind the priest, and I started kind of chuckling because how could you not chuckle? And the nuns looked back at me and they were very disapproving. But you know, that's just what happens when you can see dead people. So yeah, Zach, put them in, put them in. I mean, I may not be able to get to them all, but that's why we're here. We're live streaming today. Moonchime says, I'm not sure if you can answer this random question, and I don't know how to word this, but spirit guides of those who murder. Yeah, so you know, I talk about this a bunch. Actually, the last Intimate Alien video that I put up on Friday covers this a little bit, where in the eyes of Source, people who murder and people who don't are the same. There's no right or wrong. Like basically when you get above this dimension, because this physicality that we have here, we're just like holographic projections. We're like physical seeming projections of ourselves, and we don't actually die. We're eternal beings. We could not be even harmed by anything that happens here. We're like in a dream here. We're like in a movie here. And it's not to take away from the realness that we feel. We're here to feel real. We're here to feel all the things. But when it comes to behavior here, it's attraction based. It's, you know, agreement, permission based. And so people who do these things usually, it's not like it's fun for them. It's not like they're in aligned source, you know, power, and then they're doing these things. They are looking away from themselves and doing these things, but that doesn't make them wrong. It's kind of a hard thing to talk about on Earth here because we live here. We don't want to be murdered. I mean, I don't fear death, but I don't want to be murdered, you know, like, and so their guides are the same as our guides. Their guides are, you know, they're beings who want the best for us. Our higher selves, our true self who wants the best for us. Source is always emanating love and care. Like, we live in love and care, and yet we can make decisions that are contrary to that. So to sum it up, it's the same. There is no judgment from source, and it doesn't really make a difference to who we are. We can choose whatever behavior here we want. It really only negatively impacts us emotionally here, and then once we die, we're back in full form. So it's not a great answer, but you know, that's the answer. So I don't know why you're saying sorry, but there's no need to be sorry. Okay, as one in harmony, Earth and humanity is so strange to me, lol. This is not my home. You know, I really love this comment because it's true. For a lot of us, especially if you're here, we're not like earthlings, but I don't really think, like, I think this is a destination where this is like a cruise. Like, we're all here, we're on a cruise, we're from different places, we're here for different reasons, and we get what we want and then we leave. And for those of us who do pull energy from, you know, different star systems predominantly, we are enriching this place while we're here. So we chose to be here. It's not like, I mean, if you think about it, I like to think about this. Okay, I am an eternal being, right? How old am I? Who the F knows, right? Who the F knows how old I am? When is the last time I was ever 39 years old, right? 39 is like this much, and like this much that I've actually been conscious. I've been consciousness. If you want to really go back, I am part of source. So I have been consciousness since the beginning of source. When is the last time I was ever 39 anything? And so I see this as a very small part of like my actual life. And therefore, I don't have to worry about like identifying as an earthling, identifying as this is my only life, or like time is short or anything. I'm here. I'm trying to pack in as much that I enjoy as possible and still, you know, eat and live and thrive, right? Like, I have good things in my life. Like, there's not any lack. But even when there wasn't, even when I was, you know, eating a flat of chicken nuggets every week because I couldn't afford anything else, like, I still had this attitude of like, yeah, I'm not from here, but damn it, I'm going to make the most of it, because there's a lot we can do here. A lot of really fun to be had, a lot of enjoyment, a lot of creative things, a lot of, you know, I was never really like a people person per se back then, but I knew there were certain people that I really wanted to get to know. So for some reason, I'm not saying you should have this, but for some reason, I've always had this like, let's do this kind of thing. And I think that serves me really well because, yeah, I'm obviously not from here, but I don't know, maybe people are, but I don't, you know, that's fine. That's fine for them. I'm glad that they're here. Everyone is here for their own reason, their own evolutionary timeline. Nobody else has to do anything in order for my life to be better. I'm in charge of my life, and I can make the most of it and just worry about myself, you know, go about my own life. So yeah, that's a nice, it's a refreshing, relieving kind of perspective to have if you have been one of those people. And I know a lot of you, I know it can be really hard to be here because you are so different. But one of the things that is really nice is that we are in an attraction-based universe, and that if you get on board with you being here, others will get on board with you being here too. So that's something to keep in mind if you're having a hard time. Not saying you are, you feel very balanced and content, satisfied to me energetically. Okay, and you say, we have here at this time to raise the vibrations of the planet. I feel a little contrary to that. I feel like the planet is way fine. The planet is high vibrational. The planet is great. The people on the planet, which is probably what you mean, sure, some people aren't awake yet. They're not totally conscious yet, but that doesn't matter. I'm here. I'm here to enjoy. I'm here to be here for me. I'm here to be in alignment and to enjoy my life and to grow and to have this physical experience. And that has a positive impact, you know, like other people can see what I'm doing and that I'm able to eat and pay my bills and have fun doing it, and I can be weird and not persecuted and all that stuff. So how I go about my life does have a positive impact, but I view every being on this planet as a divine source being who's fine. They're all fine. Nobody needs fixing or saving. And to me, that just feels like the truth to me, because I'm that way, right? Like you could see all the areas in me that I'm not conscious or that I could use improvement in. But I'm ultimately fine. I'm connected to my source. I'm being guided. I'm awake enough to follow my alignment. But even for those who aren't, they're not aware yet that they have this connection. They're not aware of their intuition. That's what they want right now, and that's okay. So yeah, it's so much less like, I don't feel the stakes of being on Earth, you know? And for a screenwriter, that's not the best way to think. Like, there's got to be stakes. There's got to be conflict, you know, to make a story interesting. But I like growing through joy. That's what I like. So Zach says, have the Zetas regain their emotional equilibrium? Interesting wording. So for those of you who aren't aware, the story is that, and something that I have felt resonance with, but you can make up your own mind about all of this stuff. The Zetas for many, 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 many years did not engage with their emotions. It was kind of like a program that was turned off. And then like in the, I don't know when, but it seemed to make like 70s and 80s, like they were regaining emotions, and having a hard time with it. They were also now repopulating their people by like using human DNA so that like those emotions were coming back in anyway. I don't know the whole thing. Maybe the emotions came in because they were creating hybrids, Zeta human, because we are related to them. And then they had to deal with it. I don't know the whole story, but yes. I don't know if equilibrium is the word, but I feel like they have a remedial grasp on it. I have felt a lot of compassion and love from them throughout the years. And so I know like they're able to use it. I don't know if it's across the board. I don't know if it's with everybody. I don't know if it's just with the newer generation or not. I'm not really sure, but I definitely feel like they have regained a lot of the humanity that they stepped away from. But yeah, they're cool. I like them. So, as One in Harmony says, it's not about saving, it's about changing things, steering toward a better way, changing hate, spreading love. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, for people like us who are living in alignment the best we can, are following our intuition, are valuing ourselves, valuing how we feel, honoring our own preferences, we're having that impact automatically because we're an example for people. Oh, you can be impactful and actually enjoy your life. Oh, you can pay your bills and actually enjoy what you do. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for others. You don't have to, completely turn yourself away from who you are so that you turn into a person who doesn't really like anything or anybody. Like, yeah, I see that. It seems there are less abductions from the Zetas, Zach says. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was very big in the 80s, and I definitely was part of that, even though I didn't know it at the time. I still feel like it's really big. I don't think in my mind, I'm feeling like it hasn't slowed down. But what I think is that they have gotten better at it. That's what I think. So I like to think of the abduction thing as like taking your cat to the vet, right? I've got cats or any scared animal that can harm you, right? Like when you take your cat to the vet, it does not like it. It does not know what you're doing is helping it. It does not want to go. It will not go willingly. Like you cannot tell the cat what you're doing and it will understand you. We are the cat, right? Like the abductions in the 80s were like, get off of me. What are you doing? This is absolutely insanely terrifying. Who are you? Get away from me. And they were like, oh, well, we're your friend and you signed up for this. And we really want to thank you so much for your contribution. I'm so sorry that you forgot that you said you would do this for us. So I think they've gotten better at it. I think they know how to make sure that we're sleeping and how to keep us asleep and all that stuff, because I know I still go very often. And there was a time in my life where I was really afraid, even in my adult years, when I first learned about this and that I was so involved with them, I was terrified of seeing them. I would stay up all night sweating and like holding the covers up because I knew they were coming and I was paralyzed with fear. And I would like plead with them, like, please, please let me go to sleep first before you show up. And I feel like they definitely do that. They definitely do. So yeah, Zach, yeah, he agrees and he says maybe they're less popularized. I just think people just don't know. I think people knew then and now they just don't know. But who knows? I don't know. As One in Harmony says, I've met many of our brother and sisters in the sky, very strong telepathy here, very connected to the universe. Yeah, it's a wonderful way to live. And you are more sensitive when you are like us. And so it is really important to have really good boundaries, to honor how you feel, to be honest with people, to only have people around you who are, who you can have that honest conversation with and boundary with. And yeah, once in a while, there'll be people who aren't so, on board with all of that, like who rub you the wrong way. It's not like everyone I talk to, I automatically say like, hey, this is me and this is what I do and this is who I am. But I have to always be honoring of my own boundaries. And when I say boundaries, if I'm uncomfortable around you, that's information to me. If I feel agitated around you, that's information to me. And it's either information that, okay, I've been triggered in some way and I need to look at that and figure it out, or I'm not compatible with this person and I need to not be around them anymore. It's okay for you to make those distinctions. And life does respond to you. So if you decide that you feeling good is, what you want, you can have a life that feels good to you, where everything gets done. And that is, if I had a legacy, I think that's what I would want it to be. Yeah. Awesome questions, everybody. I feel like Jenna came in, but she didn't ask her question. If any of you have a question, feel free to ask. I am enjoying our conversation. So yeah, what else? I see angels a lot of times en masse, like lots and lots and lots of them in one place at the same time. And it's a really cool thing to see, like driving by somebody's house and there's just like this field of angels in front of their house. There are a lot in Hawaii. I'm sure they're everywhere, of course. But the coolest time I ever saw angels was I was at a show, like so it wasn't a concert, but like a local bands were playing at this venue in Connecticut, and someone was he wasn't even really performing. He was just on stage playing the drums I think it was before the show started. And the coolest thing happened. He was playing the drums and his band name was Cancer Dance. So not like spiritual or upbeat or anything necessarily, right? Not that that's all angels respond to, but you know what I'm saying. And all of a sudden, he's playing the drums, and these angels come down through the ceiling and just watch. It was so cool. It was so cool to just see that happen. I'd never seen that happen before. So I love it when you have these abilities, which everyone can have, by the way. I've taught this to every single kind of person you can imagine. Everyone has this ability because we're all born with it. It's part of us. I think I have the spiritual psychic development class I have on this channel will teach you how to see energy. So go check that out if you want to learn how. But yeah, I love how everything is connected. I use the word spiritual a lot, I think just because, it's like what I'm calling the extra abilities, the extra part of life, the extra perspective, but everything is spiritual and everything is connected. There really is no line. Okay. As One in Harmony says, my biggest issue is information I get sometimes. For instance, I was told I'm an angel, but I won't let my ego run with that. That can be a hard one. I remember so I had a mentor when I was younger, like I think 19 to 27 or 9, I don't know, something like that, in my 20s. And she told me that I was an angel. And I was just like, what are you talking about? I think at that point I wasn't into angels whatsoever. I became a little cynical, or a lot cynical, when I was a teenager, just because of all the things that were happening that were bad. Kind of lost my faith for a while there. And I don't mean faith in religious faith. I never really had a religious faith. But she told me that, and I was like, why do I need to have a job then? What are you talking about? What does this do for me? What benefit do I have from that whatsoever? So I don't know if that's kind of what you mean, but what I get out of my angelic connection is that feeling of unconditional love that I associate with angels. And I think the ability to rise above pain and sorrow, and that feeling when somebody's having a hard time and you feel this like surge of presence and you're able to be there for them but not go down to where they are. You're able to like be this more high vibrational, emotional support for them. That is what I equate with my angelic connection and lineage. I don't know. So let me know if you have that feeling as well. Okay. Zach, go back to the one about black holes. I don't know what you mean, but feel free to elaborate. That's a question about mind landscape equals universe. As above, so below. Yeah, so whatever is in your mind, whatever is in you, is what you're going to see in the world, right? If you are nice to yourself, people will be nice to you. If you are expecting good things can come to you, you know? So it's so important to know how you treat yourself and how you expect your life to go, and what you see coming into your life. Like if you want your life to change in any way, you need to change how you think about your life. And it's a really good practice to meditate and appreciate and focus on the good things, so more good things are compatible with you, right? It's all about vibrational compatibility. So as One in Harmony says, or I reply to someone on Reddit, for example, and it's like I channeled the response. I read some of my replies and I'm like, how did I come up with that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so having this pull of energy that we have, right? Energy coming from lots of different places, angelic realm being one of them, and being open to that connection, like when you're replying, when you're talking to someone, or just when you're out in the world being yourself, all of that's coming through. And so we're grounding that energy here, which is really cool, right? Like a lot of times, light workers, spiritual people, whatever, we think we need to like overtly raise the vibration of the planet by doing something, by setting up a business that helps people, by being volunteers, by, you know, and all of that's great if that's really what you want to do. But a lot of times it's totally unnecessary, because just by us being here, we're spreading this energy around, we're anchoring it here, we're sharing it with people, we're emanating it, you know, like, so if you are that person, but you want to play video games for a living, like you're not turning your back on anything. You're not any less spiritual or a good person. You're doing what you love, and therefore more of that energy can come through. So, yeah. So Zach says, are black holes what enables space travel across scientifically impossible distances? That's a really good theory, you know. I mean, I think maybe for humans, because humans need a story, right? And there is a physical manifestation of all that we can comprehend doing energetically, like the physical realm, the physical dimension keeps up with our consciousness. So that would make sense, but they're not needed by other dimensional travel, because many dimensions don't rely on our physical physics in order to travel. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense in our world here. Yeah, that makes sense. But other dimensions don't need that. They just go where they want to go by intention. Wow, I don't think I've had a sip of anything since we started. This is a good conversation, everybody. So, anything else? Well, I'll give a shout out to Zach. His website is campelasticity.com, doing cool stuff over there. As One in Harmony, if you've got anything going on, feel free to post a link or something. You can always visit me at intuitiveart.com. Oh, and since you're both here, I'm wondering, do you have anything you want to see on this channel going forward? I'm embracing this psychicness because a friend pointed out to me, I live with myself, so I'm always like this, but I don't often really talk about it or share it, and it's really fun. So we can do more things like this going forward, and I can bring an intimate alien back for a live round. She really likes these live versions of her show. But yeah, maybe we'll wrap it up here. As One in Harmony, just a lone human experiences this thing called life. Nice. I love that one emoji with the shades. That's a really good one. Cool. Well, thanks for coming. It was really fun hanging out with you and Zach and whoever else has been here in and out. And if you have any questions for me and you're watching the replay, feel free to put them below. But until next time, have fun. I'll see you around, guys. Thanks.